Okay, so just start off that this meeting is being recorded and um, the closed captions are also in action. So let us start the meeting. There's Paul. Okay. Let us start the meeting. Call the meeting to order. Lois, do you have your flag? Okay, may we all pledge the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty for all.
Justice.
The mission statement. Our mission is to address the needs and concerns of our disabled residents and provide their full participation in the activities and services of Wakefield. Janice, I think that you were not able to make the last meeting, and I want to introduce you to Charles Tuttle. Charles is our new member to the board, and this is Charles. This is Janice.
Hi, Charles.
Secretary.
Hey, Janice. Nice to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you, and thank you for joining.
You're welcome.
I like your map. I'm a map person.
Okay, so let's see. We have the approval of minutes from May 13th and June 3rd and September 9th. Are we all caught up?
Yep.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve those minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second that?
I'll second.
Okay, Judy, thank you. So Ben, Dan first, approved, and Judy second motion. And is there anything new in the financial report, Lois, as of September 30th?
Nope.
Just haven't been bagging those people and parking in the wrong spots that way.
And we did get the $50,000 of capital funds, don't forget. So that is something that we at some point need to discuss on how we want to spend that.
Well, I thought that would be perhaps maybe some of the discussion this evening, if you wanted to start that, because you actually, Bill, you're top on the ticket, saying that there's no public participation.
There you go. Cool. So well, why don't we kind of hunt that one down first? So so we still have some remaining money from our transition plan development that I'm still finalizing and expect to get done before the end of the calendar year. It's probably somewhere in the $25,000 to $30,000 range. Plus we have another 50 that we received as a capital item, which I'm hoping to be a continual capital item that we can start knocking off some of the items that are in the transition plan. I have received some pricing for design of an elevator for the ACE building, which is right around 48,000. So I would like to potentially move forward with that contract to get that ready. I've gone through and done a couple of grant applications for upgrades to that whole building. So that's a priority of us to try to get done. So if everyone's in agreement on moving forward in that direction, I'd be happy to get that going at least for the ACE, unless you folks have some other ideas on where you want to spend it.
Where are they actually going to put it up?
So the spiral staircase. So that spiral staircase that's there,
Mhm.
that'll be essentially a new shaft put through there.
So how does one going to get into the building? Is that going to be
so
the
we're-
entrance from outside too, right into the
So I have
elevator, or-
two. So we're looking at that. So there's two different options for access into the building, and that was included within the grant. So I have access through the back area where we have an easement that lets us go through that back area. I've talked with our building supervisor, and his thoughts were to kind of open up a couple of windows that are there and turn that into a new entrance, so folks would be able to get in that way. Another option is the front as well, but that would require some more some more sidewalk work, so I have to kind of widen the sidewalks to make that work for an 80 to make sure we have the ADA path for the folks using the sidewalk. So those are kind of in planning stages at this point. If we get the grant funding, we'd be moving forward with designs and kind of finalizing all that stuff, and I'd have designs for you guys to look at.
I think in the front, you'd lose a parking space, wouldn't you too?
Yeah, and then that's something obviously I don't think really is the best decision. But if you know, I don't know if you remember when we did the work on Albion Street, we cut that up further up the street so that we would be able to move that curb line in the future if we wanted to, so it wouldn't be a strained investment. So we kind of planned it out in case there was a need to lose the parking spaces. But ultimately, that would be a council decision and discussion on all of that stuff. But you know, we definitely have
Bill,
access.
one question about the parking.
Yeah.
If the elevator is going in the back, which makes sense,
In the front. Elevator would be in the front.
okay.
Yep.
That's where the spiral staircase is. It's in the front of the building.
Yeah, so if you're looking at the ACE building, it's on the right-hand side, that right-hand corner. That's where the spiral staircase is.
Okay.
So I'm a little confused then, because I thought that you said that there's an easement in the back of the building and that
Mhm.
would be the new entry for some sort of a
Yep,
accessible.
and yep. So, you know, we have a corridor. I mean, we're trying to retrofit an existing building. So, you know, to do this, you know, somewhat cost effective so that we can facilitate the project. We're trying to use that existing corridor because it already is there for us. And then we have an easement out the back, and I've negotiated as part of the development that's going to be going in where the old bank was, of kind of an expansion of that easement to allow us to access if that's the choice. But we're looking at both the front and the back.
Oh,
But
okay.
you know, realistically, it kind of depends on what the council thinks. If we want to lose some parking, as long as they're comfortable losing parking, then we can make that work in the front.
So I had one other question. I've never been around the back of the building, but
Mhm.
I was wondering, is it possible to have a handicap parking spot in that easement in the back?
Well, that's private property, so we would have a handicap spot that would be on the street, and then you'd have the access way to get in. That
I
would basically bring you
understand.
right to that back entrance. That's how we were looking to do it.
I
On the back of the building, is there like a drop or a step up, about a foot?
There's a couple of steps. We'd be ramping things around to make it folks be able to get up and have it work. And so that's part of the negotiation with the development, so that I have the real estate to be able to do that. So they're letting us expand what we have for an easement in the back to facilitate the access.
And Bill, where are the grants, where the grant applications are to which agencies?
We did it through the one stop, so it would have been to, I want to say it was Distressed Properties, maybe through their group. And then we obviously will be going after MOD, but the MOD grant's only for $500,000, so that's not going to fund the construction of that full elevator. So we went after $1 million to with the Distressed Properties grant.
It's
We should be
actually,
hearing sometime in the fall.
it's a pretty
What's
good price elevator.
And what's the distress?
Well, it's
property
that,
grant? Is
yeah,
that-
we have a lot of utility relocations in the basement that you would need to do to kind of facilitate what has to happen, Dan. So there's a bathroom right below that spiral staircase, and that's where our water service comes in. So there's a bunch of stuff that has to kind of be relocated as part of all of this.
The elevator itself, I think, is a pretty good price. I know for
Yeah,
our
I mean,
condo, we
yeah.
1,000 just for electronics.
Yeah. I mean, the carts themselves, the whole thing, you know, so we wouldn't be providing access to the basement because it floods a lot. So, you know, we've worked with them to kind of scope out more of like essentially like a big concrete, you know, box that would be the foundation for the elevator. And then they would design kind of how it all configures and ties in with each of the floors.
The distressed properties grant is that with an agency?
Well, it's through the one stop that they have. So if
One stop, I don't know what one stop is. Is that
So
through?
one stop is basically, you know, the way that they're doing grants now at the state is that you apply for your type of projects that you have, and then they figure out which one in which pocket and grant pocket that it should go into. So I mean,
Okay.
I'd have to look through, to be honest with you, what the grant is, but I'm sure I can get it while we're
But
talking.
it's for the state of Massachusetts.
Yes, oh yeah, yeah, it's
Okay.
definitely a Massachusetts grant, yeah.
Any more discussion on it? Does the council feel comfortable enough to vote on that this evening?
So why not?
Well, I would think that whatever Bill decides in the front or the back or however it's going to be, that we should accept his judgment in that area since he's got a lot more knowledge than we do.
And of course, they would put signage in saying in the front that they have access through the back.
Oh, yeah, yeah, of course, yep.
And do we need to vote on that 48,000? Is that what you're looking for, Bill?
Yeah,
Or-
that would be perfect. Yeah, just to, to allow us to enter into a contract. That's what I'm looking for, just so that we're all on the same page, that's all.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we allow Bill Renault to determine the best entrance for accessibility to that particular property, using the amount that he's got on mine there. What is that, 48,000?
We'll call that good, well, yeah,
up to 48,000 that he has obtained for this specific
let's say
project.
let's say the whole 50, just to be safe, because it's like
50,000,
48,000.
up to 50,000 that he has obtained for this specific project.
Anybody want to second the motion?
I'll second that. And this is the money and this is the capital funds, right, Bill?
This is the capital fund, yep.
Okay, so Judy made the motion and Janice seconded the motion.
You guys are gonna take a vote?
Oh, yeah. Can you tell I'm not used to running this meeting?
It's all right, there you go.
Is everybody's in agreement, please raise your hand so I can see. Okay, so it passes unanimously.
And like I said, I think that's a very good price for the elevator, considering what they first started out with probably 2 years ago.
Well, the 50,000 just the design, mind you, so keep that in mind. But yeah, it's gonna be pricey. It's definitely not a cheap project, but this will at least have a design in hand. If we go after future grants, obviously we're in a much stronger position having it fully designed and ready to go. So that's the thought process. And eventually we're gonna be successful on one of these ADA grants.
Good.
Okay, well, Bill, you still have the stage here.
Okay, so questions on the paths. So paths are being designed currently in my office. So I don't know if you folks watched the town council meeting, but so originally I was being asked from members, or actually from the council, they voted to put $250,000 into lake paths around the area. There were some environmental challenges. Long story short, what was going to be a path between Willard and Linda, the council decided to pull that funding and apply it to another project. So I still have about $100,000 or so, and that would be for the existing path between Beacon Street and Lakeside. So we're in the process of designing that up right now. My game plan is to lump that in with my bid for my foundation for the bathroom and the paths in Hall Park. So that's all going to be like one large bid that does all of that together. And so I am working on that bid and the final design of everything with my team now. So I'm back. I got to go to the Conservation Commission for the section between Lakeside and Beacon. And right now I'm targeting the first November Concom meeting for that. So I'm hoping to have that filing in the next week or so. And then the Hall Park stuff, for the most part, is designed. I just need to kind of wrap it all into a package once I get the approval from COMCOM. So all that money has to be committed before the end of the year. So my staff is diligently working on that to make it happen.
Where's Hall
Bill,
Park?
while we're on the subject of path,
Yeah.
So the last couple of meetings, we have discussed the gazebo
Mhm.
that's at Lake Quannapowitt.
Yeah.
So I don't know that if you've seen the notations that we've talked about, but one of the things that we've been discussing is there's quite a number of events that happen at the gazebo. So
Mhm.
for example, town concerts, there's the holiday pageant, there's an Easter sunrise service, there's probably other things that go on there as well.
Mhm.
And anybody who's in a wheelchair, a walker, a cane, they're not really able to join the group. So if you can picture where the gazebo is and where people gather to listen to a concert, etc.,
Mhm.
anybody who can't get over that uneven lawn
Surface, yeah.
surface, they're
Mhm.
basically out by the street on the sidewalk where you can't hear well, you can't
Yeah, I
see
gotcha.
well, and it's very difficult to feel like you're a part of the group
Yeah.
that is there on public property.
Okay.
So,
So we had talked about this, I want to say a couple meetings ago when I was there. I missed the last
yes.
meeting because I was at the council, but
Yep.
I want to
So
say we
we've
talked
kind of
about this. Yeah.
kept that on the agenda because it is an important step that I think we really need to start thinking about.
Sure.
We brought up the town of Wilmington has a very similar situation with a similar gazebo. I'll
There you
try
go.
to get
I used to
down
live
there
right next to
and
it.
oh, so you're familiar with what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they have
definitely.
pathways, so
Yep.
so that if you're having a concert, for example, you can join in the group.
Right.
And I'll try to get down there and take a couple of photos so that everybody on the commission can see what they do that makes it so that everybody can join in on these and really
Yeah, well, they have a
participate.
series of paths throughout that whole entire area, so that ends up being a much larger conversation, I think, with a bunch of folks. So it's not just us saying, "Hey, throw a path in." Unfortunately, that would be a pretty public conversation. Definitely the council, definitely the Conservation Commission, definitely, our parks groups, like all those folks. I think when we were talking last time, I had suggested maybe trying to find and I've seen these in the past, and I like almost like they're small little, um, it's like a plastic like walkway that you can place down and get it there, so that it could be laid out during events to give a spot. So that I was kind of thinking that might be a solution that we could do fairly quickly without as much conversation to get through that whole process. So that was kind of what I was thinking, but I mean, again, I think you folks can tell me what direction you want me to push in, and I'm happy to do that. So,
I think the bandstand there in Wilmington sits on the level surface and it has a step that goes up to it.
oh no, it's full, it's same. It's not as high as ours, but it's definitely up. Yeah, for sure.
Because you'd have to, on ours, it would be a ADA slope ramp to get up there.
Yeah, but they don't do many things on it. So I'm thinking,
Yeah.
Judy, and correct me if I'm wrong. I'm thinking thinking like the lake when you're doing the movie nights and all of that type of stuff.
Yeah, so
So there's a
not
spot,
going into the gazebo, but more being a part of when
the
there's a
area,
public
right?
event at the gazebo.
Yeah. Right.
But Bill, so these mats,
Mhm.
so you had mentioned that there might you might have some monies
Yeah.
available for something.
Yeah.
Is that a possibility that these mats could maybe be purchased and stored? I'm guessing the DPW would be
Yep, we would do
responsible.
that. Yeah, let me do this. I'll run point on it. Talk to some of the staff about how we can make that happen, and what we would have to do, and then also obviously get a pricing on it and see. I'm trying to remember where I saw this, but I know that I've seen them at like concerts or something where they have these little areas and this whole plastic walkway thing that they do.
I
So
do
they
know what
definitely
you're
make
At
them.
talking
beaches.
about. And I do think that that would serve the need because
Yep.
it's not like they have something there every day.
Right, exactly. This would be
Yeah.
something you just take down as, because I mean, keep in mind, it's a pretty big effort anyway when they do these events. That we're down there doing a bunch of stuff to make that happen. So we already have staff that's working the event. I just have to obviously talk to my boss about it, but to me that seems to be a good solution to kind of find the middle ground. Because I think it'd be a much different conversation, just knowing how difficult it was with the Floral Way project and that whole deal, with materials and all of that. It was a very long conversation. I think this would be probably twice the length. So,
That makes a lot of sense. Do you need us to give you any formal vote to let you look into this?
why don't we do this? Let me use this, I'll research and bring it back to the next meeting. See what we think it looks like, see what the costs are, and then we can make a decision how we want to handle it. You know, like I said, I do have some monies lying around. If I need a little bit more, I can always, you know, we can see if we need it. You know, we can use next year's capital funds if need be. So we'll
That
try to
sounds
figure out
perfect.
what the best approach is. But we definitely talked about it before. I know that I didn't move on that, so I will take care of it for the next meeting for sure.
And also
Perfect,
check
thank you.
on temporary beach pathways that they put down.
I saw those, but I don't think that would do the trick
Mhm.
for what Judy's talking about. I think because it's the grass is so uneven, it's to flatten that out more rather than I like the way the beach mats work, but that's more for so you're not sinking into sand. I'm not
Mhm.
sure that, you know, because the sand will hold you up and prop you up a little bit better. So I don't think that's the right option for it. But
It might
I was
be.
thinking that at one point, and I was like, no, I
Mhm.
don't think those will work.
Would you think people would object to something that was a little bit more permanent? That if you had a rubber matting similar to a playground surface, that people would object to having
Yeah.
something there permanently?
I think no matter what you do, you're gonna have folks that are gonna be, you know, contrarians on any project to do, right? So the question is how many of them you're gonna have.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I mean, I think anything that's modular that you can move is, I mean, I think a much easier sell. But we can talk about it. Let me take a look, see what these things cost, and see what we can do for options, and if there are options. I mean, maybe this isn't something that even exists. I could have sworn I've seen it somewhere. I don't know, remember where. But I'll take a look into it, and then we can chat at the next one on what if this is a good option, if it's not, how we deploy it, where we deploy it. I can take a look into all that stuff. And Judy, if maybe I'll hit you up, get you an idea of what like I'm thinking. If we want to maybe kind of go down there and we can chat about where things would be.
Yeah, sure, I'd be happy to.
Okay. All right. So what else do we have on my list?
There was a question about presidential election on November 5th, if there's any accessible planning that needs to happen
Yeah,
that we
and I'm
haven't
working
covered
on that. So
already.
I met with Betsy today. So Betsy went through, so Janice, when you did that little survey thing, so Betsy's kind of gone through some of these items to look at it and made some modifications to how she's planning to implement stuff. I noticed a couple of the comments talking about changes in grades greater than a 1/4 inch. Do you know where that was? If you can hop in your Wayback Machine there on that.
I
Remember
believe,
what you were thinking?
the parking lot where it has many spaces side by
Yep.
side. I believe that if you are in your car facing the school, I think that the ramp to the right,
Okay.
it's not really called a ramp, the curb cut to the right,
Yeah.
as you're facing the school, in front of the line of cars where all the signs are. I think that was there, and I mean, and it's barely over, but I didn't want
Okay.
to lie on the survey and say everything's
I
great.
gotcha. Yeah.
And
So is that something we think we want to try to have me take care of, or are
at
we?
some point, it really should be taken care of, just smoothing out, and it's just a little bit, smoothing out any of the curb cuts that are, would be used for access between the parking spots. And I'm not sure, I don't remember if the one, I don't have it with me right now, the one that is the side lot that's closest to the school, you know, that, and that's where you put the senior parking spots.
Mhm.
I don't know what you call the lots. but the
Yeah,
one
that
that's
little, the one,
closer to Main
it's
Street.
kind of next to the drive aisle, right? The one that's
Yes.
kind of closest to
Yeah,
the building.
it
Yep,
could,
yep.
it could be that cut was also more than needed. So Betsy can do things like move the desk out of the hallway that was in the hallway, make sure the
Yeah.
signs are at the right
We
height.
talked about that. Yeah, we
And
talked about that.
she
That
needs
was
to
a school thing.
switch the whole voting station around so that there's privacy when you vote versus somebody can just stand behind the person who's voting right now and see what they're doing on the screen. The screen on the table is great. It's all, you know, it's a good height. It's in a location that has plenty of room around it, but it needs to be turned around so that the face of the screen is facing the wall, not facing where people can easily stand behind the person and see how they're voting. So it needs more privacy. And what we don't have, which is, and I've seen it at other voting locations, is a table height regular voting. What do we have? Like, there are like 66 voting booths or something, or 86 voting booths. 0 of them are at accessible height for somebody
Mhm.
who might be voting and doesn't want to use the machine, but is voting and needs a lower table because of their own height or because they
Okay.
are seated while they're voting. So we need a voting table that's low.
And there wasn't one of them, huh? I could have sworn she has one. That she's
She
using
maybe it wasn't there the day that
That
I
might be what it
went.
was. It might be in the,
Yeah,
in
I
the
walked
town hall,
around.
maybe.
Yeah, I walked around. We have a lot of voting machines and I did, which is cool. A lot of voting, whatever those are called, carols.
Booths, the booths.
Yeah,
I guess,
booths, the booths. We have a lot of individual booths and I did not see one. And also I want to remind everybody that anyone is welcome to use the voting machine. And I think that if people are choosing to use it, and people can choose to use it for a lot of reasons. If you go on the website where it walks you through, it can say some people just get really stressed and they need to check and double check and triple check to make sure that the way that they have voted has actually gone through. They like the visual of seeing the
Mhm.
name up there. Anyone who chooses to use that machine can use it.
Yep.
So I might actually ask to use it. And
Yeah.
so we'll see how it goes.
Was there proper signage for that, for people to know that it's there?
Nope, it's no, it is, I didn't see any signage saying that we have an accessible machine. That's required by federal law, that there be one of those machines in every voting place, which makes
Yeah,
it
which
easy
we
for
have. It's
Wakefield
just
because we have one, you know, since we consolidated everything, it's much easier for the town to create the perfect space. But it would be great if there were a notice. It's not required. That's not listed on the voting as a requirement, but it's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, they could probably throw it on the table, I would imagine.
Yeah, I
When
think
you're
it'd
coming
be
in to
great.
sign up, just to say we do have one over here or something.
Yep.
I'll talk to Betsy about all that.
That'd
There's
be
a few
great.
items I can talk to her about. So the table height voting booth, that's obviously something we gotta have. Signage for the machine. See,
Maybe
And they
turning
didn't have, I
machine
guess
to
there's a
face the
private,
wall.
I'm sorry, Dan.
Maybe telling the poll workers that that is available. for people.
Right, and there needs to be at least one person there at all times who knows how to use the machine, so that if someone wants to use it and they don't know how, they are supposed to be trained on how to use it. So that would be, and the
Yeah,
other thing that
that's
I noted,
Betsy.
I'm sorry?
That's Betsy. Yeah, she talked to me about it. She said she's brought folks there a few times to work on it, and
Great.
so she knows
Good.
she does know how it works.
Good. And the other piece is that it asked about a privacy screen. So I have a feeling that the machine itself comes with a privacy screen, and that was not in place. So I don't know, was a great big bag there. So I don't know if it was in the great big bag or if it wasn't purchased or if it's been separated from the machine and misplaced or lost or thrown out, or if it was just sitting there right in the bag. But there wasn't
that was-
any privacy screen around it.
So that could be, but if that's not there, but we're facing the wall, right, then it would kind of do the same thing, I would imagine.
It
right?
would help, but also the same way that we've got sides on all the rest of the booths, if there's no
Mhm.
sides, you know,
Oh, I see what
somebody,
you're saying. Yep.
yeah,
Okay,
so
let me,
we want it
yeah,
to
let me
be
talk to her. Yeah. I'll talk to
equal
her about how we can-
privacy to everybody else, so.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
No, no problem.
And
with-
let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to go back if it's unclear what I was describing. And I can meet you down there if that's something that you want to do at any point in time.
Yeah, I gotta figure out Betsy's schedule on when she deploys and how all that stuff happens. So
Okay.
I'll work with her on that. But we were talking about it today to try to get it in
Great,
our
thank
queue.
you.
So hopefully we should have some answers before the next meeting. And then definitely actually obviously we'll have it done for the day. So
Yeah, because I think that, do we meet the day before the election?
I would imagine, right? Unless
Yeah,
you
that's the next
decide
time.
not
we
to.
see
Yeah,
you.
we do.
Yeah.
Okay,
Meet on November 4th.
okay.
Anybody have any more questions for Bill?
We did receive the letter from, who did we get a letter from? Mr. McCauley on kind of the discussion about the MBTA zoning and accessibility for the maps that are there. So just to give you kind of a little bit of background on the electronic accessibility. So communities our size are mandated to have kind of alternate text in different pieces so that folks with vision impairments and readers would be able to use the website effectively. So we have a mandate to have that done by 2027. We do have alt text on a lot of our stuff, but we're still working through it. I'm talking with the Mass Office on Disability. They have a contract that's out to look at just kind of do assessments for folks on the electronic side to see what needs to be done, and then they can make recommendations on how to do it or to monitor compliance and do something to that effect. So they're in the process of putting something out to bid right now on that. They have one contract that is statewide that you can use, but they told me to hold off until they get this second bid out. So there'll be a couple more folks that they think are going to be bidding that would be better for what we're looking to do. So that's something that I am moving on. One of the suggestions that Scott had in his letter was to kind of have a list of all of the parcels and properties that are being affected, which I think makes a ton of sense. I've already had instructed our town planner to do that anyway. So that was already something that was in the queue, just happened to kind of fall in his letter as well. So we'll be doing that. But again, any accommodation requests comes to me specifically. So if you hear anybody, have it sent to me so I can remove any barrier that I have to. We react to disabled folks asking for accommodations because every accommodation for each disability is different. So that's an important piece to keep in mind. So it's not a blanket, we think you should do this for all town functions or whatever it may be. And it typically needs to be from a actual disabled person that's asking for some type of accommodation that's unique to their situation in general. We try to make as many things as we can accessible, as you folks all know, but obviously there are budgets and whatnot that come into play. So just wanted to make sure you folks are all up to speed on that and are in agreement.
And Bill, this is just in regard to town run meetings, right?
This was for town meetings specifically. So,
Okay.
So I think the disclaimer that we typically do on all of our notices that was added in for some reason didn't make the warrant last year. So that's something that's been corrected. And I've highlighted that a couple of times. So I know that that's happening. And then, obviously anybody that needs something specific in a different format or whatever it may be, that's, my gig to make sure that that happens. So folks with disabilities can hit me up and I will provide some assistance to make that happen. And we do have our cart services lined up. That's been pretty successful. And I've heard a lot of good feedback on that. So that's kind of a standing thing we do just at town meeting because we've got so many requests on it. We're just going to keep deploying that because folks have consistently asked for it and gave us good feedback on it. So.
What is it?
I think that's about all I have.
Any other
Unless any-
questions for Bill before we can say you can retire this evening?
I'd just like to thank Bill for finally getting the wheelchair swing in. in back of the Doll Bear.
We got it in.
I wish it was a little more accessible for the accessible. In other words, it's like 3 slots in the back you have to go through. It's quite a distance.
Oh, yeah,
I wish they
yeah.
had it more open to the public,
Oh, yeah.
right.
more or less that first little playground. There's like 3 little playgrounds there.
Yep, yep.
And maybe think
Interesting. Yeah.
another one for next year.
Yeah.
I'll put it,
Yeah, well, yeah, I think we could look at this. One of the, just as a heads up, actually, one of the items that I had talked to the Mass Office on Disability, because you know, they have this $500,000 grant that they do. So I had mentioned a couple of things that, you know, one, what we end up doing for our, you know, electronic compliance as a potential grant to kind of help assist us with that. So that's one thing I was looking at having a grant application for. The other one was accessible playgrounds and trying to have, you know, accessible surfaces everywhere. So it's that rubber material rather than the chips. And then, you know, swing additions to these other sites. So definitely something that is at the forefront of my mind. So, you know, you've brought it up enough, Dan, to make sure that it stays in the forefront. So
Lovely.
we'll make sure that
Also
that
throw
happens.
out
But
that injuries on playgrounds are the greatest source of lawsuits. So having a surface that would is really concussion preventing is a great idea.
Just if you're looking for a model, there's a totally inclusive playground opening tomorrow at the McGlynn Elementary in Medford. There's been a bunch of people who've come together to have a totally inclusive playground. And so
Cool.
that opening is tomorrow at 3:30 at the McGlynn Elementary. But then it'll be open to the public from there. So that might be
Cool.
something good to model it on, or see if we can get some of those folks involved.
do you know what street that's on or off of?
it's by Hornell
It's
Stadium,
off
right?
of Mystic Valley. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Hornell Stadium.
Okay.
It's, the address is Mystic Valley Parkway, but you can't turn off of Mystic Valley Parkway onto there. It's the Hormel Stadium. It's right across from Wegmans and Kohl's.
Mhm.
There's a little entrance.
That wasn't, so I'm a Medford guy myself. So that McGlynn Elementary was not the elementary that we had satellite elementaries all over the city. And that was added well after I got out of there, but I'm down there a lot because my mom's still down there. So I'll definitely bop over and take a peek and try to see what we can do to kind of mimic that in some spots.
And I guess,
Paula, can you just email that name of the school and the address to the group, and then
Sure.
we'll have it in our records? And because I think it would be a good thing for us to go and visit if we could.
Sounds good. Will do.
Yeah,
And
the address is 3002 Mystic Valley Parkway. And it's McGlynn, MC, uppercase GLYNN Elementary School. So, but yeah, as you said, you can't get in off of that address.
I think you got to come around, if I remember. It's off of, what's the street? Riverside? Not Riverside.
I think it is Riverside.
Is it Riverside? Is that the one that goes parallel to the to the Mystic Valley Parkway?
I think
It's like
so.
the street that's on the other side. Like you can turn in the street that Wegmans is on. It goes across to another street.
Yep.
So
If
whatever
you
that
follow
street,
the
that's-
signs for Hormel Stadium, you'll get there.
Oh, you can. Okay, all right.
and Bill, this weekend, I guess they got a big event, at least 4,000 people. They
Oh
got
wow.
handicapped parking spaces in anywhere near the common.
So we are adding a few. That was a discussion that we decided to add a few. But they're doing more of a shuttle thing too, don't forget. So they'll have that, but we'll have some spaces, some additional spaces designated. You had talked to me about it, so we definitely added that in. For the other ones, I'm thinking that's just gonna be now part of our standard practice, so.
That's great.
But I will follow up to make sure that that happens.
And hope for good weather.
Yeah,
Haven't had that too often lately.
do.
Seems like every time we plan something, it downpours. All right, folks. Well, thank you for the time. If you come up with anything, any questions, you have my email, you have my phone number. Don't hesitate. Happy to help.
Well,
Good
Bill,
seeing
we
everyone.
always like it when you're part of the meeting. You have so much great information for us all. So thank you
Nice to
very
see you.
much for taking the time to join us this evening.
No, I love being here. Unfortunately, the days I'm not I'm usually in front of somebody else. So
Yeah.
that's usually why. So. The night meetings don't go away, unfortunately.
He's up the richest area.
Yeah, that's it. You know it. All right, folks. Have a great night. I'll talk to you soon.
You too. Take care, Bill.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so the next on the agenda is having to do with the housing project update, which there isn't a lot to update you on right now because we've only had one meeting. In which case I will actually send out the summary of that meeting for you to read, because to go through it, it just take a long time for me to go read it through. And we have another meeting coming up on the 15th. So they had taken just a little bit of a summary. They sent out a survey to everybody, except for some reason mine never arrived. And asked people what they liked about the town, what they'd like to see happen about the town, especially around housing. So that summary of that survey is something I would be sending out to you. A lot more interest in reading it than listening from me. The other thing I'd
Lori-
like to bring up, but
Oh,
Go
I
ahead.
wonder if I could just add something about the housing trust. I think I forgot to ask you to put it on the agenda.
oh, sure.
Um, there is a like rental subsidiary that is going to be available to all Wakefield residents, people moving to Wakefield. This is the end of the ARPA funding, so it has to be used by the end of the year. But I believe in the next week or so that should be becoming public, and that can be for moving expenses. But you have to be either living in Wakefield and moving where in Wakefield or moving to Wakefield to access those funds. It's a one-page application. And once more information becomes public about that, I will definitely disperse it to the group. I just wanted to make you aware. We're meeting again in 2 weeks to review what applications have come in.
How would the public know about this anyhow?
I believe it's going to be posted on the town website and then on the town social media. But it's a good kind of pocket bucket of money. So I just think it's the more we can do to spread the word, the better. You know, for those things like first, last, and security, I understand you can only ask for 2 out of the 3 of those things. But kind of coming up with that much money in advance, when for some people with disabilities, they can't have more than $2,000 in savings, can be really, really challenging.
So this one page of information would also include what the person's income is, whether they would be accepted underneath this subsidiary.
Correct. Exactly.
Is there a cutoff for income?
I think they're following like the state guidelines. So, and I believe you have to, I don't have it right in front of me, but it's like $75,000 and below for a one person household. And then, you know, obviously the amount that you can earn increases per person, but just because the average cost in Wakefield is relatively high. So I believe it's like $75,000 for a household of 1 or less.
Paula, when you said moving expenses, I was literally thinking the moving truck.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
So, but you're also saying that it also includes potentially includes first, last, security of deposit. So it's not literally just the moving expenses.
Exactly. It could
Perfect.
be anything to help you kind of relocate
That's great.
within Wakefield.
I'm assuming the Council on Aging and maybe the Veteran Service Officer knows all about this.
I hope so. I can make sure I can bring that to their attention when we meet again.
All this has to be done before December 31st?
The money well, I think it depends on how we just have to have a plan for the money by December 31st.
Okay.
I think it's also how quickly the applications come in. If there's a lot of applications for like the first and last, that could be $5,000 to $6,000 at a time. So the money would go pretty quick. So I think we're pretty unclear about that, but they've really worked to kind of model it after some other programs like this that already exist.
Do you know how much funding there is?
I don't have it in front of me, but I could get you that. I want to say it's $100,000, but I could be wrong.
Thank you.
That's a great program.
Yeah. I hope it benefits a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions for Paula? Okay, thank you, Paula. I think I sent you out the flyer of the Natives Commission on Disabilities, that they're having this film called Life Worth Living. And it certainly looked very interesting. I'm hoping to be able to get there myself. I did send it to everybody, didn't I?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have it. Yeah.
Okay. So, well, if you have an opportunity, it sounds like it's really great. And as we got it, I thought about how perhaps when we did Intelligent Lives, maybe we should have sent it out further than just the towns that surround us. Maybe we would have gotten more results too, to come to see that. Because I thought this was very interesting. This is Natick. I mean, that's a 45-minute drive from here anyhow, depending on what part of Natick. So yeah, that's that. If we do another filming of something, then perhaps we can keep in mind that there's other commissions that we can just reach out to that are further away than just the ones that are surrounding Wakefield.
Is there any organization that pulls together all the commissions on disability? Is there like a group that keeps a list of all the commissions and how to get in touch with them? Or I wonder how that is done.
I think it's the Mass Office on Disability. I think they came to one of our meetings, and I know they have like an annual meeting of all of the commissions.
Yeah, I think they have like a sector group, certain group of towns. Like up in this way, it would be up in, say, Andover, North Reading, Wakefield.
I'm surprised if they have them yearly that they don't send out notifications of the meetings for that particular area. Because after all, they're the ones that has the list of, I'm assuming, they're the ones that have the list of all the different commissions on disabilities throughout the state.
That little yellow book has quite a bit of listings in it too, that we have about.
Yeah, right. The yellow book.
Some group in Salem.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we can be in touch with the Mass Commission on Disabilities and see what they have on their website, if they have a listing.
Good idea.
The only other thing I wanted to bring up as a reminder is that on Monday, there's going to be a soccer tournament. Well, no, it's not a tournament. Soccer games, the Stonium and Wakefield girls varsity will play at 4:15, and the boys, Stoneham and Wakefield's boy varsity will play at 6:15 at the Stoneham High School new field, soccer field. And this is going to be called the Inspire Cup. It's to bring more recognition to the Inspire Cafe. We're hoping that there will be a table from Inspire Cafe with some of the staff there, and encouraging everybody to come and support your team and support Inspire. Yeah. So
What's the date? Date?
the day, oh, sorry, October 14th. A week from today.
And that's
Okay.
Wakefield versus Stoneham.
Yeah, or Stoneham versus Wakefield, whichever.
Excellent.
What
But it will be
time?
pardon me?
What time?
The girls' game kickoff is at 4:15 and the boys' game kickoff is at 6:15.
Perfect. You said that. I just didn't catch it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's okay. You're
And
welcome.
the new field is at the high school.
It is. It's
Okay.
Geez, their new high school is gorgeous too.
Oh, I haven't
Really
seen it.
beautiful. So it's off of Franklin Street. Well, actually the address for the high school is Franklin Street. Maybe it's 142 or something like that. But anyhow, it's Franklin Street. If you put it in your GPS, it's going to bring you there. And there's a long driveway up. And as you get to the end of the driveway, first of all, you're going to see this gorgeous new, beautiful high school in front of you as you drive up. But as you get to the top of the crest, you're going to take a right and then go all the way down to the parking lot. And the field hockey is, the soccer field is on your right-hand side.
It is 149.
And there's
Street.
there's a pathway, paved pathway to get up to the, up to the soccer field. And their parking lot serves also as their solar panels. So over the cars, which is a great idea, especially if it's raining out, they're all solar panels.
Also in the wintertime for plowing snow.
Mm,
Yes.
pretty awesome.
So, yeah. So that's on Monday. Is there any other business that wasn't brought up that anybody would like to bring up?
Are we gonna get involved in 101 and when is it and what time and? No, Wakefield 101?
I don't know anything about it. What is it, Dan?
It's just for new residents that are coming into Wakefield.
Oh, that one, yes. Geez, I haven't heard anything about it. I'll check the commission's email, but yeah, it was it in October or November?
I
I
think,
think it was November. I don't remember. I know I've done 2 of them. Does anybody
I-
remember last year?
the Americal, I thought.
Right, it was at the Americal Civic Center. But I don't remember. I was just trying to remember if I wore a winter coat,
Let me call up Sherry or something and find out. And if, all it requires is to put something out on the table.
Yeah. Yeah, because they usually assign what table you're gonna be at too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But unless Marie got something in, she's just so busy right now with so many different things and her son getting married. But I'll go in and check the disability email and see if anything was sent out.
Okay.
Okay,
Let us know.
yes. Yes.
Get rid of all that stuff we had for Town Day. All right.
Oh, yeah, that was that was terrible that, you know, last year they called it off because it was gonna rain and it actually turned out not to be such a bad day that last
Mm.
year. And this year, I'm sure that they thought that it was gonna kind of do the same thing, but it rained. Yeah, which is really a shame. One of these years, they're gonna be able to get it so the weather is pretty good. Well, the first year that we did it, it was cool and windy, but it was dry.
Lorna, you said you're gonna check with Sherry or,
Or for Wakefield 101?
yeah,
I
you're
can
gonna
do
check
that.
on it, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I can
was-
do that. Okay, so next month's meeting is going to be held in the conference room down at the town hall for maybe just a yearly physical meeting. So hopefully you all can make it. It will still be on Zoom. They're gonna leave us the directions of how we do this with the Zoom still taking place so that the meeting will be broadcast at a later date.
And that's
Believe-
on Monday,
At 7
November
o'clock.
4th.
Commission on,
November 4th. Yeah.
the Commission on Disabilities years ago was one of the first groups in town that could have a remote meeting. And we did it by a cell phone, putting it in the center of the table and everybody talking. That's how we did it. But it was the only commission, I think, in the state, or the governor gave special permission because it was the Commission on Disabilities. And now look what it's morphed into.
Yeah, I know it. Right. Right. I know. It's like now we're asking, can we borrow it? Can we use the conference room to have a in-person meeting?
I'm
So
not
we're used to having it on
about the
Zoom.
way they have the room set up now with the camera. It's almost like a fish-eyed look you can't tell who's talking and you can't tell who's there. I like the regular Zoom where you can see the person. But then again,
Yeah.
you'd have to have an iPad or something at each person.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, which in a way kind of defeats the purpose of not everybody being there. Well, we work with what we have. It would be nice just to be able to, kind of see each other in person.
Yep.
And have our meeting there before the snow flies. Because certainly that's been one great thing about Zoom is not having to go out at night if it's slippery out or
Yep.
snowing or raining or whatever. Zoom has been a blessing for us many
Right.
reasons.
Aging, and we used to have, what was it? The 3 months during winter time,
Yeah,
they didn't have meetings.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
crazy.
Okay, so if there's no more discussion around anything, would anybody like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I will.
Motion.
Motion to adjourn.
I second it.
I think-
Paula seconds it. Lois makes the motion. Paula seconds it.
All me
Great.
on Harrington's.
Too noisy.
Well, hope to see you on the 14th. If not, we'll have a great Halloween and I'll see you on the 4th.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye now.
Bye.